lot of them have moved away now. And what I needed was really just some quality time with him. But to be validated that our relationship, it was more than his friendships. Small, yes, I know, not entirely confident woman here. So I would rather than, and I hadn't pinpointed what it was I needed yet. I found myself finding reasons why he couldn't go out with his buddies. And some of it was trust, that, is he going to behave himself, so to speak? Not get a DUI, not come home. And he was living with us, with Stella and I. So was he going to come home in a manner befitting a household with a toddler? So I had some fears. So I kept finding reasons why he couldn't go out. And he got really crazy about the micromanaging. So finally, we were able to explore that enough. And this was before I had my regular yoga practice. And so it's very interesting, the differences in how I deal with things now versus how I did before I had developed my own practice. And so we really finally had that conversation, and he was able to become aware of the needs that I had and the fears that I had. But that's usually how anger and micromanagement. Yep, I am my mother's daughter. I guess we all are, really, aren't we? How do I deal with living with my mom? Wow, I have definitely come to accept that there are parts of her that I cannot change. And again, in the same way with Nicholas, to practice love and kindness. It's called a metta, where you actively send that person loving thoughts, your compassion, rather than, attacking them for what they are not. To find compassion for the trials that they've been through. But I definitely, living here has actually been very good for my relationship with my mother. We're different. We're just different creatures. We don't necessarily communicate in the same way, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. We have common ground that we can stand on. Living with her has helped me find that, because I wouldn't have otherwise found it. A lot of how I mother is a homage to how my mother mothered me. There are certain things that I do differently, and it actually took my brother making different choices than I have, helped me understand why my mom took it personally when I did do some things differently, even though I did a lot of the same things, because to have someone parent differently who is close to you, who is family, is to say, the choices you made I reject as wrong, even though that's not what they're saying. Even if it's, this works better for me in my time. The job, that my choices were neglectful, but, the job, the choices that I've made and whatnot, and then there's the issue that my brother actually did say that, that my choices were neglectful, but whatever. But I can understand now that my mom would have taken some of that stuff personally, because my mom, in the way that she mothered,
I would have landed in there.
there's a lot of emotional, she's still in some ways an emotional child. There are a lot of scars, a lot of unparented. She was born in Italy during World War II, and in many ways she is still an unloved, unparented child. And I have to give her so much credit for making very active choices to not burden us with those things. She really did do the very best that she could with the skills that she had. And I think that I wouldn't have come to that place of compassion if I hadn't had to move back home. And if she's an amazing gardener. I suck at gardening, but I try, and I look up to her in that way. The various crafts and whatnot that we both enjoy doing. We both knit. Well, she's far better than I am. She's literally the dual knit. She doesn't remember not knitting, so, those are the kinds of things that she's making, the homemade pasta, that kind of stuff we can connect over. Well, the chickens and the bread, and, we do things differently. And I definitely know that there are some things like canning. I tend not to eat Mom's canned goods, because she just doesn't follow procedure, and that scares me. I mean, she never follows procedure, which is what makes her an excellent artist in the kitchen, but I'm a very procedural person. That's coming back to the whole, we are cut from different cloth. We just are. But it doesn't mean that I can't appreciate her and admire subsidies that BP was getting. And after that, new piece of news footage plays. The screen goes, the multimedia screen disappears again, and an elderly woman with a heavy, very traditional Roman accent walks back and forth from the kitchen counter to the table. Her granddaughter sits at one end of the table doing homework. The granddaughter's wearing a parochial school uniform. Her guest is a family friend in her 40s, assists with the table setting, and listens attentively. Who's playing Aurora? You're going to Aaron, you're going to play Aurora? Okay. Good. All right. Prenditi il prosciutto, please.
Come mi ha spiegare?
Yeah, bella.
What was doing the mother movie?
Oh, the first I saw my baby, oh my goodness, I thought it was the most beautiful baby. Tomorrow.
Okay. Tomorrow.
It's a lot of work, see, tomorrow. It's a lot of work, but you know, a mother is nice, yeah? Takes a bite of the bruschetta, you know?
So, what parts of it were hard?
What parts were hard? Everything, I think. But I think that you change when everything is different. First you think a lot of yourself, but you think a lot of your husband, I guess. And then when there's the baby, you think just to the baby, you know? But the feeling that I had just to the baby, everything more, well, one time I got so scared. I think Tamara was a few months old, maybe no. It was a little more than a few months old there, because I think after she was 3 months old, they tell you to give her a little cereal or something. So she taken a one or two in the little spoons, and then all at once she went slump over. I thought she died. Good thing Franco was there. We got in the car. In 3 minutes we were in the doctor's, who was close to her. She went to sleep on me. You know, she got stanca, ma non lo so, you know. Artichoke. That's an artichoke, yeah. Yeah! Ma non lo sto cansato. Un pochetto, 2 mai già in stereo. Già me l'ho contato. E tu è il secondo pezzetto vicino alla mandino. Yeah, I know. Well, it doesn't even matter if nobody in the audience understands it, because you just get the fact that this is a very, you know, it's the nuclear family. So that was Tomato. I was almost 31 when I had Tomato. I was 30 when me and Franco got married, because after 11 months I had the baby. I had the baby right away. Well, I was already 30 when I got married, right? I was, yeah, okay. Because we got married in 59, Tomato was born in 60, and yeah, so 5 years later I had Matteo. I had a hard time, you know, I had the cesarean, and I was in the hospital in 9-10 days with the Tamara, and with Matteo it was cesarean too. But they tell you, if you first have you have to have a second then. Yeah, and I had a hard time, and they didn't think we could have had any more. But then Matteo came, and that was good. That was very good. And without him right now, you know, I would be so lonesome.
That's your father, actually, being a mother. So I've always thought that when it comes to the best role model of how to be a good wife, I've always thought of you.
Oh, thank you. Also to a mama, she had 4.
Yeah, I know. Well, actually, she just reminded me of her crying cancer this morning. She said every man needs to do something to take a crying cancer, at least once in his lifetime.
È vero, sì.
And that role for Carlo, I was having legal problems over the first 6 months or so. And so I called Mama and asked her, you know, what do I do? She said to me, you don't hit him enough.
back into the story. You know the story of Bethany when she hit him with the frying pan. What's her name? Yeah. Yeah.
That's a great idea. He's an old friend.
See, we didn't argue a lot with Franco because we didn't argue too much. He was quiet and he let me do anything. He was mostly quiet. He was wise and I scream and everything and he didn't do much and that was it. And it felt good, you know, after he screamed. Something I say, even the kids would say, "Ma, why you scream a lot?" I say, "Yeah, it makes me feel good, though." Yeah, well, what are you gonna do? You know, you have to take everything the way it comes. I think with Franco, maybe with Franco, he got sick. I noticed after I had Tamara the shock when we had Tamara because when the mother. Franco was 6 years old when the mother died in childbirth, yeah. When I had Tamara, I said I saw like a problem. He got like a nervous breakdown. So then, of course, he already had a nervous breakdown in the army for the Korean War. Yeah, so he had that problem over there, but we coped. First, I didn't know what was going on because I didn't know. You know, I didn't know. I thought he changed a lot, this guy. You know, maybe he mean or something. I don't know. Then when after I understood that he was sick, I felt different, you know. I had more compassion. Yeah, I didn't know. He wasn't taking his medication and you know what was he going to do? I didn't know. What did I do? I waited. He was in the hospital, and after I had Mateo, he was in the hospital 2 months. Because the second baby, you know, he didn't know was going to be when I was expecting. He started to get all shook up because he thought if I die, then what is he going to do with the baby, you know, like his mother did.
Right.
So that was hard. In fact, he was in the hospital and meantime, I was going to have a baby. She was with me at Sorella for a few days, a week, and then finally came more. He came back home, but then he didn't take the medication. He went back a little while. Then after that, I took a charge. I said, "This is it. You have to make sure that you do take the medication." Like that. So he, every time I have to see him take it. And then most of the time he was better. But I had to take a charge. I told him, "You're not gonna leave me alone no more." So the doctor said, "You have to take a certain amount." That was a long time. That was hard. And the kids, they don't remember Mateo, no. Tamara didn't remember anything. Mateo still tell me, "You should have left us." No. Yeah, as kids. This, he asked me for, they were already teenagers. They were already big kids. You know, I took all on my back because what are you going to do? Tell the kids? No, you don't.